Hi. Welcome to The Table, a podcast where we share real stories, struggles, and victories as we walk together in faith. I'm really excited to share some of these conversations with you, with my dear friends, about their experiences finding community and what has made that a little more challenging, but also what have been the rewards that they've seen and how they've seen God's faithfulness through all of those different situations and seasons. So join me for this week's conversation, all about the challenges of community.
Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Welcome to the table. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I've been really looking forward to this conversation, and we just celebrated Easter, and we were surrounded by lots of different community over the last week or so, and so I've been so excited to get into this series on community and how we can do it. But I want to introduce you to all of our listeners. This is Katie Racki, and Katie, I don't know when we first met each other. I don't have a lot of those memories for lots of people. Any idea?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, I don't know either. But I have been able to work alongside you for the last couple of years with different things at church, but also just get to know you and sit at the dinner table together and have conversations and watch Luke grow up, and we've just been in community together for a while. And I'm going to let you talk more about who you are and what you do and whose you are. But I have to say this first, and then I'll go back. The Lord put you on my heart months ago for this conversation, but I didn't realize that this was the conversation we were going to be having. And then you made I don't even know what we were doing or why we would have said this out loud, but you talked about, maybe we were talking about New Year's resolution. And so that was 4 months ago, maybe. And you talked about your resolution for this year, and the pieces kind of started fitting together about where this conversation might go and might lead to. So I want you to talk about that in a little bit when we, dive into community, but tell everyone who you are. Introduce yourself.
All right. So I'm Katie. I was blessed to be raised in a Christian home. So I was saved as a little girl, and I just don't know a day without just loving Jesus. He was talked about in my home every day. And one thing I loved, my mom and dad always talked about him like he was just with us. He just was a part of the family. And so that's something I strive to do in my family, raising Luke. I want Luke to just feel like Jesus was just always a part of his life. I've been married to my best friend, Tyler, for 12 years. We have a little boy who is 6, and he is a bundle of personality and energy. So he keeps us really busy. I was a elementary teacher for 11 years, and just this past fall came home to homeschool our new little kindergartner. So that's been a huge life change and just a brand new season of life. And that's going to come up kind of later on in our conversation about community.
Oh, that was a great introduction. Look at you go. We love your family. Justin and I, we were out yesterday, and I said, I have heard from both of the Rackis today. Like, both of the Rackis have texted me today to encourage us. And so I know I speak for Justin too. Like, we're just really grateful for your friendship and that we are getting to know you guys more and more. And I'm grateful that you said yes to this, because if I had to guess, Katie Racki, this was probably not on your bingo card for 26.
Definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not. So I feel the weightiness of this yes that you gave to sit here and have this conversation. But before we get into all of the specifics, I want to ask you a couple questions we ask all of our guests. These are our community questions. So the very first one is talking about What are you doing? What have you been doing the last couple of days, last couple of weeks to fuel your spirit?
Okay, so we have been, since the job change, Tyler and I get to actually spend time together in the morning that can be intentional and
Yeah.
relaxed instead of both of us just rushing out the door. So we started, actually, probably in January, started reading the Psalms together. And we've made it all the way. I think this morning we did Psalms 82.
Okay.
And we just read a psalm, do like a little devotional about it. And it has just been so grounding. And it's been a great way for us to get to just kind of start our day with our focus in the right place.
Okay, I didn't prep you for this, but this just came to mind. And so you don't have to answer. I meant to tell you that before. If you don't want to answer something that I ask, you just say, no, thank you, Catherine. And go on to the next thing. Okay, this memory just came to my mind listening to you talk. This was probably around the time that I met you, honestly, because I think this was, well, it maybe not. I think this was like maybe during COVID, so several years ago. I was sitting in Sunday school class with you and Tyler. And I didn't know either of you very well, but I remember you guys talking about how you pray together and thinking, oh man, we have what an example they're setting, but we have a long way to go to meet that bar. Will you talk a little bit about what it looks like for you guys to pray together? What is that part of your relationship like?
Yes. So we definitely do like like generic, just praying over meals and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And I wish I could say that maybe every night or every morning we prayed together, but we don't really follow a routine like that. But when a moment arises and one of us feels like the need to pray, or there's a situation that we feel like we should pray over, or a friend asks us to pray, we try to just kind of stop and just pray. Like for example, this morning, Tyler knows how nervous I have been about doing this podcast. And, this is my comfort zone, and whoever hears the podcast. So before he left for work this morning, he was like, before I leave, I'm going to pray over you. And we just held hands in the kitchen, and he just prayed this beautiful prayer, just for me to have courage. And I mean, just so many sweet things. And there's times I pray over him when things happen at work, or we just try not to shy away from praying with each other and praying over each other. I mean, there has even been times we're driving in the car and I'm like, can you pray? Like, can you pray for this situation or whatever? So we don't really follow like a good routine or a schedule of praying together, but it's just kind of an open line of communication between us and God, and we really want to keep him first in our marriage. So trying to remember that our relationship with each other has to also include God too. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that was perfect. I love it. It's funny that that's like happened to pop into my head at this exact moment. Because our guest, I can't keep up with the weeks, but a couple weeks ago, Emily was here and she talked about how her and her fiance pray. And so I think that's an interesting theme that's popping up in these conversations. And it's obviously for me because I need to work on that and do a better job. But I think that's going to be encouraging that it doesn't have to be routine, but it is part of your life and what you guys do as a couple. I love it. Okay. Next question. Question number 2. What, how, when, where are you finding fellowship in the last little bit?
Okay. So this also kind of plays into our conversation. When I quit my job and came home, I wasn't having to wake up at 4 a.m. on Thursday mornings anymore and wake Luke up super early. So we were able to start coming to Wednesday night services. And at first, it was so hard, so hard for me because it felt like I was back in high school, walking into the cafeteria, trying to figure out like which table do we sit at. And since we haven't been going for the fellowship meal on Wednesday nights, we didn't have like that established group of who we were going to sit with. And
Yeah.
it just ate me up, which kind of is going to go into the forgiveness question that I know you're going to ask me next. So in my head, I just had convinced myself that, I didn't fit in or I didn't belong there or it just felt so hard. And now, like coming into April, these last few weeks, I feel like we have found our community, found our people to sit with. And the last few weeks, I've looked forward to going on Wednesday nights, which is a pretty big shift from how I was feeling in the fall. And I mean, it took a long time, but we have finally gotten there. And I don't feel stressed about it anymore. Like, I can feel relaxed and feel myself more. So, my fellowship, I've been seeing grow on Wednesday nights, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think that's really sweet. And I appreciate you being honest and saying you guys started coming to Wednesday night months ago. And it's recently that you've started to feel more comfortable about it. And I want to just put a pin in that and we'll come back to that
Okay.
part of the conversation again in a minute. And there's several pins I want to put right here. And I'm just going to pray that the Lord brings them back up into our conversation later because I don't want to get sidetracked. Okay, I know you listen. You know the third question that I'm going to ask you is about what's something that you're needing forgiveness for recently?
Yes. I feel like the enemy tries so hard to whisper lies to me. He knows that I am an overthinker. He knows that I tend to get more anxious in situations, and he plays on that so hard. And so I just often have to ask forgiveness for believing the lies and then feeling shame about believing them and just getting into that rut and letting the lies become like a loop, in my mind. So that's kind of like the biggest one that I deal with probably on a daily basis is just believing the enemy's lies.
Can I ask you a follow-up question to that?
Sure.
Do you know, can you pick out like every thought you have that's a lie? Do you know what the lies are or do they kind of sneak up on you?
I feel like some of them are so reoccurring
Yeah.
that I know that it's a lie.
Yeah.
But I can't say like that I recognize them right away all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though I know it's a lie, sometimes I still have trouble combating it or getting rid of it.
Yeah. I am asking because this is something I've been struggling with lately too. And you and I might have even talked about this. Like, I don't even know. I can't even always pick up that it's a lie, that the thing that I'm believing is a lie. And so I can't replace it with truth because I don't even recognize it to not be true in the first place. And I'm the same way. Like, there are some things that he keeps hitting me with over and over. He, the enemy, not he, the Lord. He, the enemy, keeps tagging me with these lies. And I'm like, no, I know that's not true. I have worked through this. I know the truth about this thing. I'm not going to believe it. Sometimes I still choose to believe it. And it's not a great time. But then there are some things where it's like I've been praying, Lord, just show me where the lies are that I'm believing because I truly don't even know all of the ones that are flowing into my brain. So that's really helpful for you to share that. I don't think that you're probably alone. Like, I certainly need forgiveness for that too. And I bet our listeners will as well. I'm gonna talk about the series that we're in and what we're going to talk about today. So last week, Ashley came and talked with me about what is community, and why do we need it? And what are some good examples of it? And what does it look like in our lives? And I know that everybody that listens to the podcast, like, took this sigh when I said that, because I talk about community pretty much every episode. So to have to listen to a whole series on it, I know some people are like, no, what is happening? However, we're not talking about like how to do, I mean, maybe a little bit how to do community, but we're talking about what makes it hard. So these next several conversations are about different challenges that someone might face if they're trying to find community, or if they're trying to get plugged in, or they're trying to live in community. What are some of the things that can make that hard? So I asked you if you would come and talk about what it feels like as someone who is a little bit more introverted, like maybe not as outspoken or outgoing, to try to find community. And how does that make it harder in some situations for you to do so? So I think that I just described that in a way that's okay. Is that what you understand that you're here to talk about today? Like, can you say that better than I said it?
I don't think I can say it better than you said it, but yes, that is that's why I'm here.
And I heard you say, I kind of like led with this earlier. I heard you come and talk about, I don't know what forum we were doing this or why we were doing it, but we were talking about our goals for the new year. And you said that your goal was to like search out community, find community. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know what your exact words were. And then you even talked about like how you're challenging yourself to do that, because sometimes it might feel counterintuitive to your personality or the way that you feel in social situations. So tell me why community is something that was important enough to you to make it your goal for this year.
Yes. So can I start by like saying what being more introverted is defined as?
Please.
Can I do that? Okay. Because
Absolutely.
I feel like there's been so many parts of my life or seasons of my life where it's been described or used in a negative way.
Yeah.
And that's just hard, because I
Yeah.
really do feel like this is me and this is the personality God gave me. So
Yeah.
when you asked me to do this, at first I was super, almost like embarrassed, because I know I'm introverted, but sometimes I don't think about like that everybody else knows that about me too. And so then I start thinking, well, was I awkward? How did they know? So when I looked it up, the Merriam-Webster dictionary says that someone who's introverted is typically a reserved or quiet person who enjoys spending time alone. And when I wrote it down in my notes for today, I even wrote beside that, sounds so peaceful. Like that sounds perfect to me. Just being quiet and reserved and just being alone with a good book or music or outside. I don't know. So I just want to talk about it from a perspective today that's not negative.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Just since I've had so many people that make rude jokes about, if I finally do get the courage to speak up, in a class or in something, and somebody says, oh, wow, she speaks. And then everybody laughs. Like ugh. So I wanted to start there and clarify that it's just somebody who is more reserved and just enjoys quiet and peaceful things. So that was my soapbox.
No, thank you for sharing. And I just want to say, I didn't know you were introverted because you were awkward or said something weird. I only knew because you are married to Tyler, and so I hear the things that Tyler says out loud. But then also because you have just in being your true self, and I love that you said that this is the way that God made you, because I think that's such a helpful thing to remember in this conversation, especially when you're right. So many people like tease you probably about being quiet or being more reserved. So carry on, continue.
Okay. So when you said, why is it something I'm pursuing? So
Yes.
at school, when I was a teacher at school, two of my closest friends one was right beside me in the classroom beside me, one was across the hall from me. I saw them every day, Monday through Friday. We chatted, we shared prayer requests, we talked about hard things, good things, we celebrated each other. I mean, they were just there. And I mean, they were just always there. And so when I came home, I remember a very specific moment. I think it was in November, maybe December. Luke and I had finished our book work that day. He was playing, I was vacuuming. And I remember not even thinking about it, but just having all of a sudden this weight of, oh, I'm lonely. Like, I don't think I've talked to an adult in a while or like shared feelings or anything. I mean, other than Tyler, I should clarify.
Yeah.
We definitely talk every day.
Yeah.
But I just felt lonely all of a sudden. And I realized that I was going to have to start being more intentional. At school, my friends were there in the same building. We passed each other in the hallway. It made it easier. Whereas now I'm going to have to be more intentional about keeping up with friendships and finding communities, especially communities that are going to like marry well with this new season of life we're in. And it just really kind of got put on my heart in a whole different way. And so in January, I just really started kind of praying for community and praying for me to have the courage to find community and to just be intentional. I mean, even with the friendships I already had, still building them and not just letting them fizzle out.
Yeah, so it really moved you to realize how you were going to have to initiate and be intentional in some of those relationships. As you've gone through I'll say since January, but I know that you were in community before that. But as you've been working on this and trying to be more intentional, have you felt like the Lord has used people around you to help move you into community?
Yes. And I have always loved finding people call them like God winks or God kisses, just like little moments where it's just like the Holy Spirit's just like speaking directly to you, like just little gifts. I love those so much. And there have been so many of those since I've started praying intentionally for community. And they're little things that like people that are more extroverted would not think anything of, or things that just seem really minuscule. But I mean, like my group of kind of like mom friends who are local, we've been friends for several years, but it's been more kind of surface level friendship. Like we just haven't gotten really deep with each other. We've started trying to have monthly dinner dates with each other. And it wasn't even something that I started, but it just happened, since I've been praying for it. And something else as simple as a friend texting me one day to come over and borrow a dress for a funeral. And I mean, there's just been so many little things. One of my friends she wanted me to tutor her daughter in reading. So now I get to see her on a regular basis. And it's just been so many little things that are just little opportunities that are popping up. And like Wednesday nights finally starting to feel easier. Like that also feels just like one of those small answers to that prayer.
So I want to this is something that we talked about a little bit maybe last week. I think Ashley brought this up at the very end of our conversation, and I wanted to talk about it with you, so I was glad that she said something to get my mind thinking. But you just mentioned, like, you've had these friendships, like, with the moms in your community, your school moms, that you guys have had relationships for a while, but they've been kind of surface level. And I mean, we open guest episodes with 3 really vulnerable questions. So we are pushing ourselves, myself included, to like get past the surface. What do you think about as you're growing your community and like forming these relationships? What do you think about like quality versus quantity? Like, do you need 25 really close friends? Are you pursuing lots of deep relationships at the same time? What's your strategy? What are your feelings about quality versus quantity?
Mm-hmm. I think it is really important, because like with the group of friends I just mentioned, we we have mom things in common. We are all Christians, but we come from different types of churches.
Yeah.
And so we may share like prayer requests with each other, but we've never just gotten into like theological discussions.
Yeah.
And I do have one friend specifically who we do that. We love sharing scripture with each other and saying, well, what do you think about this? Or, how does this connect to the New Testament? And I love that we can do that. And I desire that in the other friendships too. So I hope to get to that point somehow. It's just so hard being the one to go first with trying to make those connections deeper. And I heard it from, might have been Jenny Allen. She talks about having a friend where you can share the 2% with. And my friend that I mentioned that we just love talking about Jesus and the Bible and scripture. We will text each other sometimes and say, I need to share my 2%. Because with so many people, you only share 98% of your thoughts or your feelings, but there's always that 2% that either you're scared to share or ashamed to share. And so we both try really hard to encourage each other to share the 2%. What is it that you're not telling, other people, or what is it that you need to talk about, so that we can speak life into each other about whatever that 2% is. And I think that is so beneficial to have somebody like that. Other than my husband, his advice and his insight matters most, but it's so nice to also have a friend who understands motherhood and just being a female, and for her to be able to speak into sometimes whatever my 2% is. So I think it is important to have that deep friendship also, not just quantity.
I love that. That was the perfect answer. Here's my follow-up question. For someone that doesn't have a 2% person, how would you encourage them? Like, it sounds like you need them, but what should they do? How did you guys get your relationship in that place?
Well, she is extremely extroverted. And
Okay.
so her bubbly personality, she always jokes that she adopted me as her friend because she just showed up one day and just literally swooped me up and was like, we're going to be best friends. And she kept the conversation going, so I didn't have to. And then somehow the friendship just grew. And I don't know. Oh, I would think, I mean, I think you just have to go first. And that's advice that I don't take myself. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how to be the person to go first because it is so vulnerable, and that's not where my personality just naturally leads me to. I'm not a go first kind of person. I don't know. That's a hard one.
I think go first is good encouragement, because you could probably use that whether you're trying to find your 2% person or if you're trying to find someone to share the other 98% with. Like, going first is probably good advice for both types of people. I don't know. I also, something that kind of struck me as you were talking, it's not that you didn't have the things to share or the like the thoughts or the experiences. It's not that you didn't have those. It's just that it was not as like comfortable for you to be the one who had to share them first. And I wonder, I think probably that might be another misconception of people who are a little bit more quiet, is like they don't have anything that they want to add to the conversation, but really they're just waiting for the right person, maybe. I mean, you could speak into that, but like talk about that. Have you ever, is that right? Is it that it's just that you don't want to be the one to speak up first, but you've got the things to say, you've got the advice, you've got the experience, you've got the thoughts. If you don't want to be first.
Yes, yes. So more introverted personalities. We do have friends. We do. It may not always seem like it, but we do have friends.
Yeah, you have friends.
Yes. And what made me laugh is what you just said, is because just yesterday, Tyler and I had this conversation. There was a conversation going on in our Sunday school class, and there was a topic brought up that Tyler knows I am very maybe passionate about. I don't know if that's the right word. And it just didn't feel like the right moment to say anything. And as a quiet person, something that happens so often is when there's a crowd of people and there's a discussion going on. Sometimes I will open my mouth to say something, but somebody with a louder voice has already started talking. And so nobody even knew I was about to talk. So then I will wait, and then I'll try again, and it doesn't happen because there's more people talking. So, yes. So then I'm just like, well, like the topic has already changed. So what I was going to say won't make sense now. So then I just don't share it. And that's probably not the right, like, maybe I should be more bold. But you've known me long enough. I just don't, like, I don't raise my voice. Like, I don't like to. I don't even think my voice goes any louder. I just don't, that's just not me. I would rather just not say anything than have to, like, try to get myself into the conversation. And so when we left Sunday school, Tyler looked at me. I think he even, like, punched me in the arm and was like, that was your chance. Why didn't you say anything? And it just didn't feel like the right moment. Or, I mean, part of it too is it takes a lot of courage, I guess, to share. For me, it takes a lot of courage to speak my mind, or to share like an opinion. I just feel like sometimes it's better not to share my opinion because it's probably not going to change anybody's minds anyway. So yeah, I don't even remember what your question was. But yes, I do have thoughts and opinions, and a lot of times I just have the conversation in my head instead of actually sharing.
Yeah. I know this is hard to believe because I'm sitting on the other side of this camera and talking to you, but I have the same problem. Like, I will come home from some place and I'll be telling Justin about a conversation that happened. He's like, great. What'd you say? And so I'll like say what I thought in the moment, and he'll ask me again, like, did you think that? Or did you say that out loud with your mouth? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did not. It just didn't feel like the right time. I think that we should recognize the value in being thoughtful before you speak, right? And I think that introvert, extrovert, whatever, however your personality falls, like there is a lot of thoughtfulness that you have to have before you open your mouth. And so I think some people probably could use more thoughtfulness, and some people could like be more confident. That's what I struggle with too, is like I'm not confident enough that my opinion is the one that you actually need to hear. So I'm just going to sit here and let everybody else say what they think they need to say, and I'll think in my mind what I would say.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
it can be really hard. Okay. here's this isn't off the wall, but I'm kind of backtracking us a little bit in this question. Is there anything about Jesus, about his character, that makes him seem more approachable to someone who's more introverted? Like, tell me about the qualities of Jesus.
Okay. Um, he just feels so safe. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can find instances in the Bible where people share that they're angry or that they're upset or that they don't understand, and it's okay. So just to be able to know that, like, Jesus is going to love me no matter what emotion I'm having or what I'm feeling, he's just going to be safe. And I think that's just the word safe. Like, he's just a safe
Yeah.
haven. And I wrote down Matthew 11, verses 29 and 30 for this question.
Yeah.
When he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." That's what I like. That's what I look for in community and in friendship, is for it just to feel gentle and easy, and the burden is light. Like, I can come to Jesus as messy as can be, and he still is going to love me and take care of me and teach me through it. That's just really how I feel he just feels so approachable and safe with.
I love that answer. Have we talked about the book Gentle and Lowly? Have you ever read that book?
I heard you mention it. It might have been on one of your other podcast episodes.
Yeah, I won't talk about it again because I already mentioned it on another episode, but you should read it if you love that verse, because I'm not through it yet, which is sad, but I'm not. But it's all about how Jesus describes himself as gentle and lowly in heart, and the way that you talk about Jesus as like that safe. He's just safe. He's just a safe person to go to, being to go to. Man, I think that too, it doesn't really matter what your personality is. Like that, we all need that. We're all looking for that, for someone who's not going to change the way they feel about us because of how we're acting in this moment, or because of my big feelings about this thing that might be really small. And so I can already imagine like clipping that and sharing that with people just to encourage them that Jesus is that gentle, safe person to go to for anything in life. So I'm so glad you shared that. Okay, I want to know some practical ways that you are moving closer to community. What does it look like in your life?
Okay, so when you sent me that question in particular, and I was trying to like think through these, I just laughed because I was like, practical ways? That's what I need. Like, I need some practical ways. But I did come up with some things that I'm trying.
Yeah, let's hear them.
And so the first one I wrote down is just saying yes. When you get invited somewhere, just say yes, which is so hard, because what if I
It's
don't
hard.
feel like going anywhere that day? I don't know how I'm going to feel on
Yeah.
that day. Like, am I going to want to get dressed and go somewhere, or am I going to want to just stay home?
Right.
So having to just try to force myself to say yes, because what I've experienced in the past, if you say no so many times, you're going to quit getting invited. And then you
Yeah.
start feeling rejected. And then that just, I mean, then that's what the enemy starts using
Yeah.
as his lies is, well, you've messed up. You said no too many
You
times. They
ruined
don't want to
it.
be,
Yeah.
they don't want you there anymore. So
Right.
just saying yes, and just trying to be courageous and brave and just say yes.
Yeah.
Something else that I've been trying to do, I usually go straight to like, well, what if this happens? If I go, what if they say this? Or what if I say something dumb and sound stupid? Or, just
Yeah.
all the what ifs. I've started trying to just like follow those through. Like, well, what if I do say something dumb? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? And trying to
Yeah.
force myself to actually answer it, to realize it's not that bad. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world if I do say something embarrassing. People will probably forget about it in the next few days anyway. So trying to not let the what ifs stop me, but instead, like, just talk through them, that it probably would not be as bad as what I'm making it in my head.
How you feeling? Yeah.
And I wrote down having somebody in your life who is good at tough love, which is my husband. He is the king of tough love, and he gets it honest. His whole family is just very tough love minded. And so when I start that spiraling of, I can't go to this party because everybody's gonna look at me, like when I start that process, he will just shut it down and just, Katie, like, that's not true. That's not gonna happen. Like, there's no reason to even be worried about that. And so having him to just ground me and like remind me of truth and remind me that I'm just making up false scenarios in my mind and letting them take over. Having somebody in your life that can give you that tough love and keep you from just getting lost in the spiraling of lies and what ifs is so helpful. And then the last thing is probably like the most special to me. This is kind of a strategy that I've used since high school. And it's just really repeating Joshua 1:9. But when I say it to myself, like in a moment where I just really need it, I say it as if God's speaking to me. So I'll say, like in my head, have I not commanded you, Katie? Be strong, be courageous, do not be terrified, do not be discouraged, for I am with you wherever you go. And sometimes, even the wherever you go, I'll put like the specific, like, for I will be with you at this table at church. Like, I will just, and I mean, I just do it in my head if I'm somewhere, or I'll say it out loud if I'm in my car before I go in somewhere, and just trying to remind myself the truth of that verse, that as scared as I am to put myself out there, that he's with me and he wants me to be strong and he wants me to be courageous. I just have to try to remind myself of that so often. But that is the strategy that I've used probably most often, is just trying to speak that truth over me as if it's just him talking directly to me.
I love that so much. It makes me think of the verses in Deuteronomy where it says, like, have these words like on your door frames, and as you go about your day, and as you lay down, and as you rise up, and like just feeding, stringing the word of God into everything that you do. I love that so much. It makes me think that I probably need to memorize some scriptures so that I can say it over myself in those moments. I was gonna ask you what's made it easier for you, like as you've started growing your community. Is there anything that's made it easier for you? I would guess that's probably one of the things.
Mm-hmm. And just seeing the fruits from it, like seeing how Wednesday nights just feel lighter, encourages me that, like, all these other parts of trying to find community, even though it feels really hard right now, that the lighter days are coming. Like, that, the tides will turn and eventually it's going to pay off and things will feel better. That's what I'm telling myself. So hopefully, but it just feels encouraging.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't know because I'm not you. But in other areas of my life where I'm praying about something, like really earnestly praying about it, every little turn that the ship makes, like, feels like a victory to me, right? It encourages me to keep praying for the next tiny little turn that the ship is going to make to get me where I think that the Lord is taking me. So I think that's really cool that you get to look back and see how the Lord is answering your prayer and hopefully giving you some encouragement and blessings from all of the times that you're having to step outside of your comfort zone and say yes, or say the first thing, or, initiate the play date or whatever. Hopefully that you're getting encouraged as you go through that process too. Okay, is there anything in your notes that we didn't say yet before I ask you my last question?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
so. I think that covers all of it.
Okay. I can cut this part out. We can just be done. But we had a conversation recently that I would really like to have here, and I've been like thinking about it since we had it. I just want to get your thoughts on it. So there was a situation. I didn't prep you for this, so sorry. We were talking about something similar. I don't even know. And you said that you feel like sometimes, depending on what room you're in, that you're the only one who feels the way you feel. Like you're the only one who's uncomfortable, or you're the only one who feels like out of their comfort zone, like in someone else's skin. And one of our other good friends said, I kind of feel that way too when I'm there. And it just made me realize that we all probably feel like that one person who's like out of the group or out of the crowd, depending on what room we're in. Like, talk about what that means to you, how you've experienced that.
Yes. So when she said that, it blew my mind because she is so exuberant and just so joyful. And so to find out that she also kind of felt inwardly like she didn't fit in or didn't feel comfortable, it blew my mind to know that she also felt that way. I never ever would have guessed that. But yeah, just feeling like I think it's just where it's so hard for me to open up easily. Like once I feel like somebody's became like a safe person that I can just open up with and be myself with and be vulnerable with, then I'm fine. Like I'm fine. I do great with that. But it's just so hard to get to that point. And so sometimes it does just feel like in a whole room of people, where's my place? Like, where's my spot to fit in, or where's my group of people where I don't feel just like I'm kind of a wallflower? I tend to be a wallflower. I would rather just blend in with the wall and not stand out. And so sometimes it's hard for me to just peel myself off the wall and try to find that group or that community, that friend to talk to.
Yeah. The longer that we talk, the more I'm wondering if I have like introverted tendencies. Everything that you say, and I know that sounds so silly, but no one else is at home with me right now as I talk to you. It's literally just me. And so I just feel like we're having a conversation together. But when we talked earlier and we were talking about, feeling like you're the only one who has those feelings, or like you're the person who feels left out of the circle, or you're the person who feels like you don't belong. There's a situation, like a community that I'm part of, and I show up every day and I feel like that for sure. And I really have wrestled with, I don't want to stand out. I know that I don't want to change who I am to fit in, but I also don't want to like put a sign on my face that says I'm different in this way and this way and this way and this way. And I think that in my life, especially, that is one of the lies that the enemy feeds me, is like, you are the only one. Like, everybody else is so close and you're the only one who's not like in the group, and then I start to feel shame about it. And then I'm like, well, I'm not going to speak up now because I don't want to make it worse. I don't want to be more different or more outside of the group. And so I'm just going to stay here in this place that I'm in, and I'm not going to try. And so having that conversation with you guys last week just helped me to see that of all shame never comes from the Lord. It's only the enemy. And probably everyone listening to this podcast, both of us for sure, we've already said it, like we all feel that way in some spaces, like we're the only one. And that's a strategy, I believe, that the enemy uses to keep us where we are, and so that we don't grow and we don't reach out and we don't change or join anything. So I just wanted to tag that onto this conversation because I think it's helpful to me. It's a good reminder for me and maybe to other people who feel that similar way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think so. And I think when you get into that rut of feeling like you don't need to speak out or you don't need to stand out, it gets easier to just stay there. Tyler tells me all the time, you know, the song, This Little Light of Mine, he tells me all the time that I need to get out of my bushel. He's like, just, you got that bushel over you, get out of there. And it's just, I think, and it's, I do think it's a strategy of the enemy. It feels so comfortable to keep that bushel on and to not speak out about things. But I do feel like we're just doing exactly what the enemy wants us to do by not trying to, speak out.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lesson I'm learning. Haven't learned it yet. Learning it every day. Okay. Katie, thank you so much for coming on here and having this conversation and just talking about how sometimes like being more quiet, being more introverted can make it challenging for you or make it feel challenging. I think you're just as good at finding community as I am as a, who knows, introvert, extrovert. I don't know what I am now. I think you're just as good, if not better, because you're being more intentional for sure about it, especially this year. But I do think that it was something you told me, and I can cut this out. You told me was that the people, like a person generally who comes to sit on a podcast is outgoing. Mm-hmm. They are very extroverted. And so there's not a lot of conversation about what you're going to do if that's not your personality or that isn't the way that you naturally carry yourself in your everyday life. And so I just appreciate you. I know it was hard. You did a great job. I appreciate you coming and being the voice for all of us, all the people who need to be encouraged when it doesn't feel good and when it takes more than what we would like it to take to get outside of our comfort zone. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I feel honored that you thought I would be the right voice for this.
Yeah, I hope not offended. Now that I'm having the conversation, I'm like, how did I pitch this to you? And was it kind? But I promise I meant it in a loving way. No,
I knew you did. When I shared my 2% with that friend about this podcast, I even said those words. I said, but when she mentioned it to me, it wasn't in a rude way. She wasn't making fun of me. So I did not take it that way at all.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you again, Katie. I'm so excited for everybody to get to hear this. And then we're going to be back on the podcast next week talking about another challenge that makes it hard to live in community. So thanks, Katie.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for coming to the table. We hope today's conversation encouraged you as you seek Jesus in the big moments and the little ones. Check out the show notes for any scripture, resources, whatever we talked about today. Feel free to share this episode, leave a comment, ask a question, or share your thoughts with us. Come back and join us again next week. We'll be right here. If you haven't already, go follow or subscribe wherever you listen and find us on socials to catch up if you don't have time to listen throughout the week, or just to find out what all the next episodes are about. Also, we know you have things to say, examples to share, wisdom to give, so look for opportunities this week to share with those around you or even with us. All right, we'll see you next time.